Welcome back to Comic Book Nation's Quick Save, our gaming focus segment, where today me and my buddy Matthew Aguilar are once again doing a recap of Halo Season 2. This is the latest video game adaptation TV series, and we've been covering all things Season 2, and today is no different. We're here after the pivotal Episode 4 Battle of Reach, and the battle wasn't over, so we got to keep talking. So let's just, no more preamble. Let me just get it out of the way. If you're just getting into Comic Book Nation, go subscribe to our feeds on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartMedia. We're everywhere, and listen to all our different segments. We got anime segments, we got gaming segments, and our regular show every Friday. All right. Without further ado, Matt, we are now into Halo Episode 5. We've crossed the Rubicon. There's 8 episodes this season. We're in the back half. Episode 5 was called Alaria, and right off the bat, I think this episode, we've had episodes that had like battle and drama, then drama, then big battle, and this episode I think was like the most balanced in terms of like battle, thrills, and drama that took place. Stick around because I believe we have a special guest at the end of the show, right, Matt?
Yeah, we're going to be talking to Natasha Culzac, Riz herself. I'm so excited for that. And if you've seen this episode, you know that's a big deal.
Yeah, Matt's on the cutting edge over here. He's got the whole Halo cast on his side, and like every episode we getting the key people to talk to. So make sure you guys are tuning in or listening to these recap shows, because it's not just us talking. At the end of our recap, we will be, as Matt said, we'll be talking to Riz herself. And if you're just coming off this episode, you know she's got a lot to say. So let's just get to it. I got to say, we didn't get to see this as far in advance as everybody else. We're kind of coming into this around the same time, maybe a little early, but we're coming in about the same time as everybody else who's in the viewing audience. And I was really curious where we were going to go from episode 4 and the kind of crazy battle highlights we got in that episode. And the fact that we kind of just assumed, I guess, because we've been Game of Thrones into our brains, that a battle episode has to be like this big single thing. Whereas, this battle, we were like, this isn't over. Like, this is still ongoing. And so, yeah, this episode had a lot. I loved how they mixed the kind of the drama and the action, because showing you the impact of the loss. Some people would be like, they could have this tendency to just, we're still in the thick of it, we got to keep pushing. And then there'd be like an episode 6 that's all about, taking in the loss. This is kind of like, yeah, our Spartans and the Marines and USNC, they just gotten their heads kicked in. They've taken some major losses. And the trauma in the battle is very real. And so once again, I think that like having focused showrunners and like focused story arcs for each character is so valuable, because it begins to really pay off as these episodes are getting deeper. And so just like this episode complicated just about every character we know in some kind of way, right? Like even Halsey is just like sitting there and reeling from the loss of Jake, of her, her ex-husband, of Major Keys. She's so clearly traumatized in the middle of all this. Master Chief is the most down bad we've ever seen Master Chief in Halo. Like, he's physically incapacitated. He's literally being carried through this episode. It's a lot to take in. And in the midst of that, we also get the good balance of seeing the larger pieces kind of also moving around the board, and even the side characters become very important in this, and everything has kind of, as we kind of hoped, I feel like it kind of converged together, so that Soren's concerns are linked with Master Chief's again, and the conflict between Soren and Lara, his wife, and all of these things are kind of linked and make sense. And none of it feels like the first season and just out on like planet A, planet B, planet C, and like we're watching 3 shows. So I was very grateful of that, and I'm very invested in these characters. So like at this point, Matt, how you feeling?
Well, I think you used the right term. I think coalesce is like the perfect way I would describe it, because, there's like a early part of the episode, right, where Soren and Lara leave, and you see them in the truck, right? And they leave, and like the rest of the group sees them leave, and so they know what they're obviously trying to do. And then you see them come back, and that same group sees them come back, and there's a sense of, oh, something's not right. Like they didn't achieve what they were setting out to do. And I mean, obviously I keep forgetting where you can talk spoilers, so it's fine. I was trying to dance around that. I don't know why. So they're obviously looking for their son, right? And so because they don't find Kessler, when they come back, there's actually like it's just a small moment, but like there's a sense of like, oh, they didn't find him. And it's because the rest of the group cares and they're invested in them as well. Like they really do their wants and needs and dealing with the trauma. They're kind of doing it as a rather dysfunctional, but still a group. Kwan's whole, trying to get it through to Chief about, Venick and like how to deal with grief and all that stuff. Like that's all tied together. And to this point, it really, not even to this point, but especially like in season 1, right? Yes, Kwan and Chief were linked in some ways, but it didn't really feel that way. It didn't feel like they were in the same circles and dealing with the same things. And here, everyone's kind of in that trench together. And it really feels like we've developed that group of people. And that's also what makes, the kind of end decision for Riz so impactful, because like, it feels like you just got this family and now you're losing a critical piece. And it's not going to, she's not going to be jumping on board, at least, for now, for the foreseeable future. So all of that really ties together, but you don't get that if you don't feel like this group is together and they're just a bunch of subplots that just happen to be in the same space. They've managed to make it feel like it's rather organic. Everyone's here. They're just doing the best they can with what they have. And they still have a kind of an overarching mission. To try and survive and try and get to the next place, but their goals are aligning. So it's an impressive feat. And I agree with you too. I think this is the best balanced episode. I mean, we get, right off the gate, I mean, it hits the ground running. You're in the middle of everything. There's some, twist along that way. And then the stuff that would in season 1, that would have felt like it was filmed in a completely different place and not feel tied to anything, feels necessary and it feels impactful. Kwan, especially, like some of that stuff that was done with her, I just thought like was so well done. And Halo knows how to creep you out occasionally. You know what I mean? It knows how to do that in small moments. And I thought the whole kind of vision thing and all that was like supremely well done for her. So this episode had a little bit of all of it.
Yeah, I have to go back. Honestly, I have to go back and rewatch it because I feel like it's an episode of Invincible. Like, there was so much that I'm beginning to remember happened in this episode. Like, for each character, like the density of each storyline. Like you said, I've forgotten about Kwan and the visions because I was just remembering like Soren and Lara and then Chief and the whole Vanic arc and that, which also hit home. Like, that was a powerful thing that got to me in Halo because it could be hard for this show to have emotion and just when he finally does see his face and like, all the posturing, all the, theories of, oh, that's not my friend, he's gone and blah, blah, blah. It's just like, it hits him like it's a human moment he's having, like he really feels it. And that was really well done. I also think it's good, like in this weird way, like the showrunners of season 2 are doing some very necessary work that season 2 didn't do. And that is very necessary for the kind of the survival of the show, really, which is they're doing it in a very good way. We are whittling down characters. We are whittling down the cast to get to the point, because this is still a Halo prequel, really. If you're just talking about the first game combat, where we start in the first game, this is still very much a Halo prequel. But what I can see this show doing slowly but surely is getting you to a point where you feel it. Like, you feel that Master Chief is alone, like, and what that means for him, what and why, and when it could be just him and Cortana again, like going out and doing these larger things on the Halo, or being with the Arbiter, or doing all the things we know from the games that come, like how he got to be here in this place solo, and like what that sacrifice meant, that he once had a team, a family, but, you know, slowly but surely through this war, it's cost him. And he's the guy that just keeps surviving. And as he said, it's just like, I know I'm going to survive, but it ain't that great to be, you know, the sole survivor. Like, and it's just going to be him and Cortana against the darkness of the universe. Like, that is going to feel like we've earned that journey and we understand.
Yes.
But it's also a more sustainable show where it is Master Chief and Cortana, a couple key characters in contact with, but, you know, Marines he encounters along the way, or each episode of the week we meet, you know, these other, you know, support players. But I can see us headed there. And, but it's going to be well earned. Like, you understand by the time we put this guy in armor, or a lot, or just him on his own, like, we understand how we got there and who our hero is, and it carries a lot more. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, so.
And speaking of those key players, like, they come out and say it, right? We get the Arbiter. It's official, you know. They make that plain and clear, but also you're getting his backstory and you're getting to understand like who that person is. And I thought they also did Cortana, her presence is starting to, number one, increase in the show. This is the most screen time she's had this season so far. But also she's also kind of developing into her own person apart from Chief, and Chief as well. So it makes me excited to see when those two eventually do come together, how they will react and contrast to each other. But I thought they did great work there too. And McKee, right? Like, the whole, like, look, I'm only as valuable to them as you make me. And that, like, kind of honesty and that brokering of a deal, you know, by the end, without it being said, like, that's all really good stuff to do on that side, which we've always talked about. Like, the lore side of Halo to me is, you know, I know some people adore it and I get it, but like, it's always been the part I've never connected to. I just never have. So the fact that we're doing that work and we're making me care about the other side as well, is good. I think that's a strong win. So when we get to the big stuff that everyone knows, I'll care. And that's the whole premise of half our conversations about this series and this franchise of, like, I want to care about it, and I want to care about all the lore and all the entities and all the people in it. And this show is, you know, making me do that. And, you know, we got to talk about Riz, right? Because that's such a key part to, I thought the moment between her and Chief at the end, when he finally breaks, that facade finally crumbles a little bit, and he's like, "You're all I've got," you know, and she's like, "I know," and like that whole scene, it's like, Halo does a lot with small moments. Like, they make those moments count, because it's not very long, but they know how to just maximize that impact. And I thought that was a key moment there. You know, and building off of all of Riz's previous, I mean, those 2 episodes we talked about in the first half of the season, those 2 kind of character focused episodes. This doesn't matter if you don't execute those. If you don't make Riz and you don't have her whole arc, you don't care about this. And so I thought that was a credit to those episodes as well.
Yeah. Yeah. No, are they, every one of the kind of Spartans have had, like, even Vanek, who we got to know probably the least. I mean, he was still very much a presence in this second season. Just his humor, kind of like getting to know what he's been like. That first conversation in the opening of the premiere, him with the pigeons, like, they did just enough so that when he's gone, you're like, oh man, Vanek's gone. Like, oh, and like, it is a loss. Like, we were just getting to know him, and like, it's surprising that he's gone, because it felt like these Spartans we were getting to know them for like a longer haul. And like, yeah, Riz is out, but there's still one left, right? And where is she? Kai. I can't believe it. Our favorite MVP from season 1 is now with the ops and leading the ops. So that's going to be interesting, because again, like, Kai's position has had this kind of one of the most dynamic arcs in this whole show since it began, from her like taking out the chip in season 1 and us watching her kind of come into her individual personality, and then to this season with her obviously like being the one who will draw a line with Chief and be like, yo, like, I'm gonna check you, like, I don't know if I agree with you, and things like that. It's going to be interesting to see like what happens here and like the whole winter contingency of it all, and what happens when, when our, the human side can't even trust itself. Now this is getting real Game of Thrones, where it's like you can't even trust your own human side, and now you're doing battle with your own side, your own kind of tech, plus everything that the Covenant is starting to do, plus when we get to Halo and the Flood and all this, like this show is going to be pretty crazy in season 3, and I personally can't wait for that. So I hope we get a great season 2 cliffhanger, and then season 3 gets real wild real quick. But yeah, man, I'm trying to think about any individual scenes I want to touch on in this one. No, I think we hit them all. Does this one have one of the big like bruiser Covenant guys? Was that this episode where they had to take him down?
That was the opening.
Oh yeah,
the Brute.
Yeah, the Brute. That was obviously I'm still having nightmares about that because those fights in Halo they're going to be crazy. And have we had a hunter in this show yet? Did we have one in season 1? Because I try not to go back and look.
I don't remember. It's very possible we could have. I know we haven't had one in season 2. So
no, I want to see some hunters show up. 1. Like that's gonna get wicked because those things were trying to kill. Everybody has nightmares of trying to kill those things in Halo games, right? Like trying to take out those hunters. But that's good stuff. And like the visual effects work this season and stuff has been so much better. Just kind of making these creatures feel like they're in real environments and like coming at you. And as we've said, the Covenant is scary. And even in just a conversation with McKee and the Arbiter, like seeing his jaws click and all that stuff.
No.
Yeah, like it's freaky. Like they make the idea of you being a human with these aliens like kind of really scary, like freaky. It'd be nuts. So I mean, I'm really enjoying it, and how much it does feel. And to the credit of the show, and I don't think people say this enough, like they really nail the details of making you feel like you're hearing a familiar Halo battle game, like the ammo dumps, the reloads, the shield effects on the elites and stuff, and how they hit and disappear. Like it's well done. So yeah, I think I'd just be going in circles at this point and saying, hats off to everybody and kind of like what they're doing in this season, because this is a pretty harrowing episode and pretty entertaining episode. And Halo's becoming like something I definitely, when it's the week and I'm like, oh, it's Halo Day, like let's go. And clicking on and watching them. Between getting my like double day dose of this and like Star Wars: The Bad Batch right now, I'm living good in terms of like sci-fi soldier stories. So doing good. All right, doing good.
Yeah,
all right.
I'm on the same thing with this. Is the show I look forward to every week. I just like it's always at the top of my viewing list whenever it is accessible. So I did not have that on my bingo card when this series first started. And so just to see how far it's come and what they've been able to do this season is incredibly impressive. So hoping we end strong. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, so far so good. I mean, and it looks like everything we see from right now, I mean, it looks like it's going to be pretty exciting. We know kind of some beats that we're going to get. We need that massive, like, we've seen it in trailers, like Chief, Armor, Cortana, the full package coming back together. We know that we got to take on whatever Ackerson and Kai and whatever her team are up to. And that's going to be like another battle that we get to kind of check out. So it's going to be pretty, I mean, we've already got some pretty action-packed things. And there's already emotional payoff. Like we need to see Chief at least get close to seeing Ackerson and just eye to eye again and stuff like that, And these reunions.
We need a Rock Cody face off.
Yeah, I want to see if Halsey gets a one up on Ackerson and all these things. We've built in enough in this cake that there's already the payoff just waiting to be had. So even if we just have this end with us just finally reaching Halo and starting that by the end, it's going to be a pretty brutal, action-packed kind of spin the block last back half of the season to kind of finish things out. So I'm excited to see where things go. All right. You got anything else, Matt?
No, I think that sums it up really well.
All right, then I guess without further ado, we are going to be talking to Natasha Culzac, who is Riz herself. Matt got a chance to speak with her, and again, if you've seen this episode, you know she has plenty to say. She has plenty to say. So check that out.
Hi, Natasha. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for taking the time.
Yeah.
This has been, of course, this will go live after the episode is also live, so we can get into some spoilery talk. But I do want to kind of take us a couple episodes back. Oh, really? Are you really gonna do this? Yes, he is. Okay. That's this.
Yes,
Really?
yes.
Oh my God. Okay. Okay. Yes, please move.
Oh, come back.
We just got our kitty like literally 2 days ago. And so
Oh my God,
this is
cute.
you were my first interview with the cat in tow, Gus. And so Gus is going to make his, oh
Gus,
my
Gus,
Lord.
Gus.
Okay, with
Yeah.
you, buddy. I love you, buddy.
Gus is like, I want to get on in the action.
Oh my God. So yes, I want to take us a couple episodes back. It's been quite the story for Riz this season. Because we really, see what number one, just what a Spartan in general kind of goes through in their and everyone, the whole team, Silver Team has really had this kind of big arc as far as like becoming, more than just soldiers, really experiencing life, what emotions are like, all those things. And we've seen that. And Riz has been kind of, paramount to such a embodiment of that. Especially, what's been your favorite, aspect to explore the season, in the character? Because we've had so many kind of great moments.
God, so much. Because obviously in season one, I think Riz was a bit more of a kind of background character. And it's been season two that I've been able to kind of flesh her out. And like you say, see what is really going on in a Spartan's brain, I suppose. And for them, at least, in Silver Timeline as well, it's, they had the pellets that got taken out. And so they were able to suddenly feel the gamut of human emotion, which I think, is quite a lot to deal with. And so that was, it's been so layered for me in terms of Riz. There's been a lot that I've loved exploring, and that was part of it. It was letting her have all these emotions that she'd obviously never been allowed to experience before, experiencing that for the first time, almost like an adolescent or something. And then I was kind of picturing her. I developed this like mad, weird backstory in my own head that she was like the youngest sibling. As a youngest sibling, I was like, I see you, babe. Definitely a youngest.
Bring a little of the own life into the character there for sure.
Yeah, because in season one, she says something about not being good enough in this the Wolfpack training session that they did as a kid. She wasn't as good as everyone else, and I was like, okay, so she really has this kind of need to impress and want to be good, and prove her mettle and prove her worth. And I think what's been really amazing in season two is being able to explore that with the injury and, that level of acceptance, I suppose, that she's had to come to of like, I'm just not good enough anymore, maybe irreversibly so. And so dealing with that has been kind of like quite a joy, I think, as an actor. And then also, obviously, all the guns, learning military tactics.
Yeah, we got all the deep stuff, and then of course it's like, no, but it's still awesome to like be able to like whip ass in armor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. As that prior to Halo, I'd never even looked at a gun, let alone fired one. So I was like, okay, turns out I love him, which I didn't
You're gonna
expect.
start having energy swords, all about the house and things, and I understand it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, make me a cup of tea now.
And it's been wonderful to see the dynamic between. It's so funny that you bring up the youngest sibling thing, because they do this season especially have felt like siblings. It starts to, it's all they know each other, no one knows each other like they do. And so they're really able to get in under each other's skin and also calm each other down in a way that only really, siblings or very close friends can.
Yeah.
And for Riz, especially because this character, there's two episodes, between it was kind of the premiere, which has a lot of big action, and then of course Reach, which we'll get to here in a second. But
Yeah.
the two episodes in between are so important for Riz because it's like it opens up this whole other like view of what life can be, and of course how that ties full circle to what we'll get to here in a little bit. How important were those two episodes for Riz as a character, and what was the experience like for you, kind of getting to explore some of that stuff?
Major. And that's really the heart, I think, as well. Yeah, what is it? Spartan friendships, like we were saying, they're kind of like siblings, but also having friendships outside of the Spartan program, it's sort of like your siblings are your family, but then you also have a chosen family as well, your mates. And so I think that was probably something that Riz couldn't even consider, and a lot of the Spartans probably can't until it happens. And you're kind of like, this person's just being really nice to me because they like me. What? And so I think that heart of it was massive because it also contributes to Riz's experience of loss and grief, and losing a mate in battle, and obviously we experience loads of loss in during Reach. But those two episodes are huge in terms of her exploring friendship and love and acceptance from other people, and ultimately Lewis telling her that there's more to life than just this. I mean, basically what she'd done, which is dedicate her entire existence to the Spartan program. Now he's telling her that there's other stuff.
And you're right, because those scenes, especially in Reach, pay off in the, worst way. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, yes, we don't want to lose people because it's crushing, but I can't imagine without all that time spent, those scenes take even on more importance, and you understand the effect that has. And that leads us into the Battle of Reach, right? Because that was what a amazing battle that is. We really get to see, and without armor, no less, right? Just
No less.
Spartans being what did you think of that approach? Because I think that surprised a lot of people, and also it led to some just amazing, choreography and some moments there. What did you think of that kind of whole thing of not fighting in armor?
Yeah, it was fascinating and a challenge as well, because also, we were so used to fighting in armor. And obviously, the Spartans, we kind of like got used to the Mjolnir armor now by this point, even though it's so unbelievably heavy and restrictive. And so to be able to show that proficiency and that deadliness out of suit, that was definitely something that we really wanted to make sure that we could nail. And we had this amazing military advisor called Jack, who helped us develop, tactics, and, we did like boot camps and spent ages trying to make sure that we were on point with the weapons handling. And we just wanted to make sure that we still looked like Spartans, even outside of the suit, and try and show that as much as possible, that kind of deadliness and focused nature. But yeah, it was exciting to try and do that out of armor.
Well, and then of course that leads us to episode 5, and things pick up literally seconds after 4, and that was one of the surprising aspects as well, that the Battle of Reach and everything, it wasn't just this kind of one episode encapsulated thing. Number one, it carries over, and two, the effects of it on the team and everything will carry over seemingly throughout the rest of the season, and we see that reflected in decisions. And Riz makes a decision to go back. Our boy Vanek, R.I.P. Such a love Vanek. It was so sad to see that happen, but that's why it made me, throw out all safety and logic, right? I was like, no, you go get him.
You go, yeah, that's
I
it. Get him,
support it
girl.
wholeheartedly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What leads to that decision? Because there are points that John makes later of like, that's so like we don't do that, and all these things. But like,
Yeah,
what leads
yeah.
Riz to go do that?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think it doesn't really make sort of tactical sense, does it, to just go back into the fight, into the melee. I think she'd got to a point with so much loss that she just didn't want to leave him there, and that there was a way that getting him back could somehow contribute to making amends for losing Lewis and Danilo as well. And so much loss, and then losing Vanek on top of it was just so heartbreaking, I think, for the team and for her, for John. And I just think she just couldn't leave him. They're brothers in arms, brothers and sisters in arms. You don't want to leave one of your own. And I just think at that point, I'm not sure necessarily she was completely thinking straight. I think she was probably, operating on pure emotion at that point and adrenaline.
And understandable, you know what I mean? There was a lot happening. And I also got to give props, right? It's not like you didn't even get hit until the very till the very end. So, props. If I had been running in there, I'd have got hit like as soon as I left the ship.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's not happening. Now you got to go without me,
Yeah, but
and that
damn
leads that leads to, it's like Riz has already been through so much, even just physically, it's like it was all, she was already recuperating from one kind of injury, and we saw her overcome that in the season and get there, and then it's like, oh man, it's kind of here, and you really think, though at no point did it was always like, oh no, she'll get there, like because you've already seen it, you've already seen like the will of that character, and no matter what Halsey says in front, it doesn't deter that. I think that's a credit to the work of the character this season. But then the character makes a surprising, but then also not really surprising decision. Well, what did you think of that decision for her to stay and not go? And what do you felt like was the biggest, what led to that most, I guess?
Yeah, it's interesting because I do think, like you say, she was just so focused and so resilient for so long. And that was kind of like the main characteristics of Riz, right? Just so like just tunnel vision of just get the job done. And that's kind of what I wanted to have for Reach as well, for Riz, was just this complete unfazed by what was going on, even by her own injuries. They were kind of killing her. The original injury was kind of killing her, but you don't have time to think about that in the midst of battle. So you just got to keep going. And then I think she just mined so much adrenaline there to get her to Vanek and back again. And then with the second injury, finally had time to just stop and maybe have a bit of peace there. And then just kind of realized, I think she must have just come to a realization that I have given you everything. I've dedicated my entire life to this. And I don't know what I am, is a Spartan always a Spartan? And I think, it was definitely fascinating kind of going into that. I wanted her to get to such a point where she was grafting and pushing so much, but everyone has a limit, I guess. How far do you go until you just go, I can't do this anymore, physically and emotionally? And I guess that's when she sees Halsey's face and then just thinks, I'm out of it.
That was the thing. That was the thing. Is like, oh, we're not doing this again. Like,
hang on a minute.
It's really something, because and it's so funny that you bring up the going back to the sibling thing, because there is a big brother little sister relationship that you really get to see a lot in this particular episode between Riz and Chief, and especially in the end, we've been like chipping away at the soldier kind of haze for John throughout this season. And I feel like here is actually probably one of the biggest breakthroughs, and it's Riz that draws that out of him. It's that, you're all I have left. That line, like, oh my God, and it's like, I know, like, that was fantastic.
Yeah. And because, having just lost another one and now he's losing a second. And what does that mean for him going forward, and our fire team, silver team, what does that mean for, it's not ever going to be the same again. And dealing with the repercussions of that, and I think you do, you're right. There's that kind of real deep sibling kind of respect and love there. But
he's got to be happy for it, right?
That's it. That's exactly, that respect of going like, I don't want you to make this decision, but I want you to be happy. And and she, I think, feels similarly, you need to do what you need to do and I need to do what I need to do. And I love you, but like, this is it, and they've both gone through so much. Everyone has gone through so much. And I guess they're just handling it in their own various different ways. And I think
Riz is already making friends.
Riz is making buddies left, right, and center. She's like, I don't know, joining some kind of commune or something. She's going to be like learning how to crochet, doing yoga, like rehabilitate.
We're gonna come back and there's gonna be like a bunch of sweaters. Like John's gonna come back and army of sweaters. She's gonna have made like crocheted sweater armor. You know what I mean? It's like I couldn't leave it all behind.
And I'll be selling it. I'll have like a little stall. Riz will have this little stall that she sells the memorabilia.
Does the Halo universe have Etsy? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
I know we have to let you go here, but I sincerely appreciate the time. One quick one, because obviously we don't. It's that thing of like being torn. You seeing someone happy, and you want them to live your life, but then of course there's this giant war that's happening. Things don't look especially great, not necessarily for Oni and all these people, because they seem to be just fine. They just like left everybody to die, but like this core group is kind of on their heels. Any chance we see Riz back in action at some point?
Who knows? I don't know.
It's gonna be something, and it's gonna be crocheted armor though this time.
It's gonna be crocheted armor. It's gonna be drumming and singing. It's gonna be she's doing nails. I don't know. But this question is a Spartan always a Spartan? I think that would be kind of interesting to see going forward.
Absolutely. Well, I cannot wait to see how the rest of the season plays out. And kudos on a great season so far. I've truly enjoyed it, and all the best success.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm so glad. And hope to fingers crossed over here. We get to just at least drop in on and see what Riz is up to before the end of this season.
See how many jumpers she's made.
yeah, exactly. We gotta get an update, and we'll get the Etsy store link at some point. I'm sure it'll happen.
Oh no, we'll get definitely.
Thank you so much.
Oh, take care.
All right, we want to thank Natasha Culzac for joining us here on Comic Book Nation's Quick Save. Her work in Halo as Riz has been phenomenal, and you never know. So keep your eyes peeled, because you never know when you might need a good Spartan. I mean, Louis did things blind, right? So.
Yeah, man.
Right.
I'm pulling for just that one last reinforcement, right? I don't know. I'm hoping we get that by the end.
We want the OGs and the cavalry. That's a perfect place to leave off with our Halo Season 2, Episode 5 recap. I am Kofi Outlaw. That's my buddy Matt Aguilar. We are Comic Book Nation. And if you are just getting into our podcast, we got a whole network and feeds galore of good content about all things geek culture. You can find us every Friday live on the main Comic Book Nation show where we cover all things geek culture. You can find Matt every Wednesday on the pull list, pulling the biggest things in comics and letting you guys know about it. We also have another regular quick save segment every Thursday where our gaming team breaks down the biggest things happening in the gaming industry that week. We've just launched Anime Initiative every Tuesday where the anime team breaks down the biggest news, reviews the biggest anime manga happenings. We're going everywhere. If you want to go over to the other feeds, we also have, for all you Marvel heads, Phase Zero, the Marvel Focus podcast. And for all you trying to catch them all people out there, a wild Pokemon has appeared. And if you are just getting into the Percy Jackson and the Olympians Disney Plus show, we also have Riptide Radio on our Comic Book Nation feeds. Check that out as well. All right, I think I plugged everything. Matt, thank you for joining me. Can't wait for Halo Episode 6. So everybody stay tuned. Watch Halo every week on Paramount+. I'm Kofi Outlaw, Matt Aguilar, and we are out of here. Peace.
This is